Thank you, Chairman Meeks. I also rise to oppose this amendment. If this amendment had been proposed 3 decades ago, I could have supported it. But we've had multiple decades of data that shows a gross underrepresentation of minorities, including African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans at the senior levels of the State Department. All this amendment would do is to delay further changes that are needed. Now, I also support Representative Bass's bill. Is this bill going to work? I hope it does. We won't know until we try it. And I urge us to simply try it because we've had, again, decades of no changes. We've had both Republican and Democratic administrations complain about the diversity problem, and then nothing ever happens. And then Congress doesn't take any action. So at least this is an effort to try to do something about it. I also want to address what Representative Bass and others have raised, which is the issue of retention. Now, in terms of sort of having lateral hires and affecting retention, I don't know what that's going to do. Again, I'm happy to try it. But Republicans are fond of always comparing business to government, saying how government should be more like business. Well, in the private sector, there's lateral hires all the time. Managers move from one company to another. Supervisors move from one corporation to another. Why don't we try that here as well? And so I fully support at least trying to have lateral hires come in. I also want to talk about why people might be leaving the State Department, because there is something that the State Department does that the private sector does not. In fact, virtually no other agency does either. It's called assignment restrictions. The State Department has about 1,800 employees who have these restrictions that basically tell you, we think you're going to be a traitor if you work on a certain country. So we're going to slap an assignment restriction on you and say you can't work on anything related to that country or be stationed there. Imagine what that does to a State Department employee, and you wonder why they might be leaving. They know their career is capped. They know they cannot really expand to highest levels if there are entire sections of the world they can't be working on because the very own department in which they work thinks they're going to be a traitor. Think about how outrageous that is, just the concept of assignment restrictions. Imagine the US military did this and said, you know what? If you're a Japanese American captain, we're not going to station you in Japan. We're not going to let you work on any issues in Japan. Or if you're a German American colonel, nope, you can't go to Germany, work on issues related to Germany. That'd be pretty offensive. And so I urge the State Department to really look at the entire basis for these assignment restrictions because they're literally telling 1,800 employees right now that we only trust you somewhat. We think you're going to be a good American, but when it comes to choosing between the US and this country in which you've been given an assignment restriction, we think you're going to be a traitor. And there's no data to support that. I frankly think the Bureau of Diplomatic Security is out of control in the number of assignment restrictions they have slapped on people. And one other concept for y'all to think about. In today's modern world where countries have global reach, these assignment restrictions are profoundly stupid and archaic. So for example, let's say they slap an assignment restriction on you because you've got an aunt in China and they think you're going to be blackmailed. You can't work on anything related to China. Okay, fine. They station you in Paraguay. Well, guess what? You can still be leveraged because you have an aunt in China. The Chinese government can still go after your aunt in China, leverage you for blackmail and ask you, hey, tell us about the vaccine diplomacy conversations between Paraguay and Taiwan, because we want to use vaccine diplomacy to get Paraguay to now not support Taiwan anymore, right? With countries with global reach, these assignment restrictions literally make no sense. And at its logical conclusion, I mean, anyone with a family member in any country then shouldn't be able to serve in the State Department. So again, I question the whole basis of assignment restrictions. I think it's offensive to employees that have been given them. And I really think the State Department needs to look at whether we need them at all. Because if you're not going to trust that employee, then don't hire them in the first place. And with that, I yield back.